the Titans, the division is ours. I don't care what Houston did yesterday. They're going to go get their Letterman jackets again. The Indianapolis Colts are 2-6 against the Titans since Pat McAfee came up here and did his wrestling announcement. And the Jacksonville Jaguars, they haven't had back-to-back winning seasons since I was a senior in high school.
What's up, Titans fans, and welcome to another edition of Titans Global Podcast. I'm your host, Maximus Titan Fan, and shortly we'll be joined by Cortland Griffin, our regular around here, our regular insider around here. So today is a sad day for Titans fans, and we're going to get to that later, but we're going to talk first about what the Titans have done in the first 6 weeks of the season, which isn't much. So let's get to that. Passing, we've got 103 completions on 165 attempts, 1,204 yards, 3 touchdowns and 6 interceptions, 51 first downs. That's the Titans' passing offense for this season. It's just lackluster. It's not enough. Not in this league. I believe we ranked 28th. I'm not sure on that. If somebody can correct me on that, that'd be cool. As far as the rushing defense goes, we had 145 attempts for 662 yards. It's not great. Yeah, good point, Michael. One of those touchdowns is Derrick Henry's passing touchdown. So passing from a quarterback standpoint, we have 2 of 6. Jeez. I'm not trying to beat up on Tannehill, by the way. This is just the facts. 4.6 yards per gain. And 5 touchdowns with 4 fumbles. That's not a good ratio to have. That's as a team, so some of those are on Tannehill, some of them are on, a couple of them are on Derrick Henry. I think one of them's on Josh Wiley. So, But it's not good either way you look at it. It's not good. The turnover ratio is a big problem. One that we have to correct or, anyway, I'll get to that later. But total offense, 310 plays. It's rushing and passing. 17. No, excuse me. It's going to be. Sorry, I found some stats that were conflicting my original stats, and I had to look them up, and the NFL official stats were conflicting against what I saw. It's actually 1,204 yards passing instead of the 1,030 whatever. Anyway, originally I'd figured up 1,700. We'll give them 1,800 yards, which isn't accurate. It's actually a little less than that, but still, it's around 5.5 yards per play. Per play, 5.5 yards. Not good enough, especially when you only have 51 first downs in the entire season. Not good enough. Which is why I think we're going with the game plan that we're going with. But again, I'll get to that later. So here, we'll just go ahead and interrupt me. What's up, dude?
Oh, what's up, man? What's up, guys?
Thanks for joining us tonight, Cortland.
Always a pleasure.
Yeah, I'm gonna need some help on this show tonight because I'm a sad Titans fan, and I'm sure there's more.
I think we all are. Yeah, I think we all are. This one was this is a heartbreaker, right? I mean, KB. For all those that kind of like that know, even before he was a Titan, right? Just the greater Nashville area, metropolitan Nashville area, or I guess you could say the greater Tennessee, right? Metropolitan Tennessee area. Mayor of Murfreesboro, right? MTSU. Played his college ball, literally 30 minutes to an hour up the road in Murfreesboro. Comes to Tennessee, and from day one, made his impact known. Has been a huge impact on this community. Has been a huge impact on this city. Huge impact on this team. Sucks to see him go, but it was a move that needed to be made. Whether you felt like it was for the better or for the worse, it was a move that needed to be made, and now it's on to what's going to be the next move for the Tennessee Titans.
This is why I'm a sad Titan. I feel for you, Michael. Just got his Oilers jersey today.
Yeah, and that's the rough part, right? I'm sure that guy would have loved, I'm sure he would have wanted to play in those Oilers unis, but we got to roll with what we have and roll with who's here. So,
yeah, and to be honest, a lot of people aren't going to like me for saying this, but like you said, it was a move that needed to be made, because if you look at his stats overall of what he's performed this season for 6 games, it's fallen off a little bit from what it was 2 years ago.
Well, if you look at when he got paid, right? For the first, like if you look at from the time he got paid, if you look at his first, I would say 4 or 5 years in the league, right? I think KB is in his 9th year, 10th year. So he essentially played through 2 contracts with the Titans. Look at his rookie season, essentially around his 2nd season in the league, he got the starting job, and then he kind of took off from there. 5 interceptions, led the league in interceptions, and I think he's like top 5 in interceptions. The year after that, gets paid like the best safety in the game. Is graded as the best safety in the game, and people are looking at him and saying this guy's on a Hall of Fame trajectory. I'm so sorry. Sorry, it's really dusty in here. But Hall of Fame trajectory. He gets paid, and it's a pretty good contract, right? 15 to $17 million a year, roughly. At the end of that contract, people were saying, "Hey, $19 million for a safety who's the best safety in the league. That's not bad. I'll take that every single day of the week." Then you look at his stats. Every year since he got paid, he's been on a steady decline. Now, this is not saying that Kevin Byard is bad or he's like a bottom half of the league safety. He's still one of the best safeties in the game. But when you look at his numbers compared to his counterparts, the Minkah Fitzpatricks, the Derwin Jameses when he's healthy, right? The Jesse, I can't think of his name, but he's in the guy in Atlanta, essentially. Jesse Bates, right? Those guys, the Justin Simmons of the world. Those guys that just got paid, just got big dollars. You look at his numbers compared to those guys, you start to see the waning, right? You start to see the tick down. And I mean, he's 20, I think he's 29 or just turned 30. So, I mean, yeah, so he's well on his way to retirement. I mean, and here's the thing. Rand Carthon got us off the snide for $14 million next year. You're now number 2 going into the offseason. If the offseason starts today, you're number 2 in cap space. Like, it sucks because it's Kevin Byard, but there's a bright side to this, and I'm pretty sure we'll get to that as the show goes on.
Yeah, that's what I was going to leave on, or end on. But yeah, I mean, you look at it, man. It's not good. I mean, 0 pass defended, goose egg, 0 tackles for loss, 0 interceptions. He's had 1 forced fumble. Oh, excuse me, 1 fumble recovery. Otherwise, it's just tackles. That's all you got on his stat line, which isn't, I mean, again, like you said, not a knock on him. He's been playing pretty good. It's just, is it up to what his standard has been over the last 4 or 5 years? No. It's an off season for him, or, I mean, maybe he's, I don't know. I think he's going to do well in Philly. I hate to say this, but I tweeted it out earlier. Go get you a ring, dude.
Who wouldn't do well in Philly when you have that defensive front and you have 2 of the best cornerbacks in the league, and the only thing you have to do is play center fielder? But it kind of reminds me. This situation kind of reminds me of one guy who also wore a 30 number, and I know a lot of people were thinking about Blaine Bishop, but no. This guy, this situation reminds me of Michael Griffin. Even though Michael did not leave via trade,
yep.
He came in his rookie season. He was in the backup role his rookie season. And then second year comes into the league, plays his natural free safety position after they tried him at corner, which was a failure. And he plays his natural free safety position, and he lasted a good while with the Titans. Got paid, and then over time, you saw him just become a tackler. Like, he wasn't the interception machine, turnover machine that he used to be.
Yeah.
He just became a tackler. And when you have a safety that just becomes a sure tackler, like, it makes everything else hard, because you need that center fielder. You need that guy that can turn the ball over. You need that guy that makes quarterbacks afraid to throw the ball deep on you. And KB, the mystique of who he is, right, scares you. But when you look at the numbers, like you said, he's just a tackler now. And that could change in Philadelphia. Like I said, the personnel is better. It's not a bad thing to admit when a team is just a better team. That roster is constructed a little bit better than ours. Howie Roseman has drafted very well over the years. He's constructed that team very well, used the cap space to his advantage, and not to his detriment. And the Titans are fighting an uphill battle. Unfortunately, guys, we got left with what you could call the worst financial collapse since the Great Depression, after John Robinson left his team, right? So Rand Carthon is now trying to Reaganomics this thing, or I should say Randonomics this thing back in, and bring us back to, a good standing. And right now that's going to be letting guys like Kevin Byard walk, trading guys like Christian Fulton, trading guys like Danico Autry, and some of these bigger names and some of the names that we've grown to love as Titan fans and media. And some of these guys are going to be in different uniforms, by Wednesday of next week. So, and that, again, there's a silver lining that we're going to get to, but it's going to hurt. It's going to get ugly. We're going to have to rip the Band-Aids off and deal with the pain before it gets better.
Yep. You're absolutely right, man. This is I saw this tweet, or this, I saw the first tweet and I was like, I don't know, I don't think Byard would be the first one they trade. And then I saw the official tweet come through, and I knew that, this is the beginning of the fire sale. We got to get worse before we get better. It's always darkest before the dawn, blah, blah, blah. I can give you a literal million different ways of saying it, but we're in a rebuild. It's a crappy thing to say, but it's a full-blown, at this point, rebuild.
The crazy thing is, I wouldn't even call this a rebuild. And I know this is going to sound really crazy, because I've been a person that says competitive rebuilds don't exist. But when you look at this team, right, you drafted your quarterback of the future, Will Levis, right? Whether you love him, hate him, you can not like him, you can, emulate him by putting mayonnaise in your coffee. It doesn't matter, right? Like, he's your quarterback of the future. He's the guy that your new GM said, I'm hanging my hat on this guy as my guy. And so you've got your running back of the future in Tyjae Spears. You've got what could possibly be, and don't quote me on this, guys, could possibly be a top 5 pick this year, right? If the trend continues as it's been, over the past 7 weeks, we could possibly be picking top 5 this year with 130. Oh, I'm just gonna say $100+ million in cap space. If you don't think that this team can come back next year and be better, then you might be just as delusional as the people who are thinking that we can be competitive this year. Because next year is going to be different. Next year, you can go buy a brand new offensive line and come in next year and say, hey, we're in the top 5. Marvin Harrison Jr. might fall to us. We'll take that guy. Right? Or, hey, we're not in love with any of these guys and we don't feel like we need to draft a receiver. We'll trade down. We'll take your additional first round pick and a second round pick and have 2 second round picks and our first round pick. And we'll go and reload this team, as we go along. Again, you have a GM that was in 2 successful franchises as a pro scout, as a head scout, as one of the guys that helped draft those teams in the Los Angeles Rams, who were a Super Bowl champion 2 years ago, and the 49ers, who've been competing for NFC championships and Super Bowls over the last 6 seasons. So again, just kind of bear with them, see the plan, see the vision, and allow this team to go through its growing pains. Every team has these down years. Every team has ebbs and flows, peaks and valleys. It's time for us to be in the valley for a little while.
Yeah, and I mean, to be honest, I'm not going to lie. When we got D-Hop, I got really excited and thought, hey, yeah, we're in it now. We're competitors. We're going to compete. We're going to throw down 10 to 12 wins. And, obviously I was wrong. And we didn't start off that way. So here we are. And at this point, like I said, if we're this bad off in the season, it's exactly like I said, we would take Tannehill out. We would throw our rookies in there to see what we got. And, we'll kind of go from there and see what we got. But, I mean, that's all we can really do. Anyway, we keep trying to bring this up, but to get back to my stats of what we've already done, the good news, now that I'm done with the offense and got all the bad news out of the way, the defense wasn't great. Okay, the defense overall had 15 sacks, 2 interceptions, 9 forced fumbles, but only 3 fumble recoveries. You got 5 turnovers out of the whole season. That's not good. Especially not when you got 6 interceptions sitting up there and 4 fumbles. So, 10 turnovers. So we're in -5 right now in the turnover spectrum, which is terrible. But our number 1 defender was Al-Shaair, which we did predict would do well in this defense. He had 62 tackles, 1 sack, 3 tackles for a loss, and 2 pass defend. That's pretty darn good for a linebacker. So I'm pretty high on Al-Shaair. And Nick Folk. I mean, you got to give the guy credit where credit's due. He's 16 for 16 on field goals and 8 PATs. So, I mean, he accounted for 56 of our points already. Whoa. So, yeah, there you go. All right, so since we're going to talk about Kevin Byard, let's talk the whole way about Kevin Byard. We'll talk exactly what we got for Kevin Byard. 5th and a 6th round pick and a guy named Terrell Edmunds, which I honestly had to look up because I wasn't familiar with him, but I think he played for the Steelers for 4 to 5 years. He started
for the Steelers, and then in free agency went to Philadelphia.
Right. And now they're basically trading him to us. I mean, I honestly, I think he's probably, looking at his numbers in Pittsburgh, he's probably like a lower grade Amani Hooker. Not quite as talented as Amani Hooker, but close. Somewhere in between Amani Hooker and crap. What was the safety we let go last year? Oh well. Anyway. Yeah.
He's those two guys, yeah.
Yeah, so he's somewhere in between those two guys on the spectrum. Not bad, not great. Just kind of riding in there. Exactly kind of what we need for a rebuild, though. And
he's a box safety. I'm sorry, Max.
No, you're all right. What's up?
He's a box safety, and I was talking about this in Titan Space earlier on today. He's more of a box safety, and you could see them slide Amani Hooker over to that free safety position, which he plays a bit. He's a little bit more fit and more apt to that. We've kind of been playing with two free safeties in the back, on the back end, and it might help Hooker stay healthy. It might help with his durability issues because he's not going to have to come down and strike as much. And Terrell Edmunds is built more for that striker kind of safety position. Now, again, like I said, we'll probably get to some of the stuff later on the show. Some things and remedies that I think would be beneficial to us, but for right now, you're probably going to be looking at a defense that's going to have some bodies that are going to be playing out of position for a while.
Yeah, that's pretty accurate. I was actually talking in one of my Titans groups about potential people who would be traded, and as I was going through it, I was thinking to myself, I wonder if they'll trade off Harold Landry. He hasn't been very productive this season, especially not for the money that we gave him.
Yeah, I don't think so. I don't think so. And the reason I say that, and that was floated around as well.
Well, we lost him audibly for a second. Oh, there we go. Yep.
Right. I was muted. I don't know what's going on. But his production, if you look at when he got paid, right? We had one of the better secondaries that year. We had a very good secondary that year. Kevin Byard was playing well. Hooker was playing as they were graded as one of the top. Thanks, Karen. They were graded as one of the top safety duos in the NFL. Right, the linebackers were playing well. Guys were flying around, making plays. Christian Fulton was playing like a top 2 cornerback in the league at that time, according to his grade, his coverage grades. And that was allowing Harold Landry to pin his ears back, get to the quarterback, do what he does best, right? Go get the football. Go get football. Go get quarterback. He hasn't been able to do that this year because he hasn't had a secondary that's been viable. Christian Fulton has been getting cooked this year, right? SMB has been your best cornerback in coverage this season, and it isn't saying much if you go look at where he ranks in the NFL right now. So when you look at that and you say, well, and Roger McCreary has done very well this year, but again, it doesn't matter that you're doing well when the guy that
everybody around you is doing terrible.
Yeah, when your safeties have to come down and make plays, right, in the run game, and one of your corners continuously gets beat. It doesn't matter what you do, right? So just looking at that and seeing what that and how that's playing out, it's going to be really hard for a pass rusher to pin his ears back and go do what you paid him so much money to go do. Right now, he's still getting pressure on the ball. He's still getting, he's still collapsing the pocket. He's just not being able to get there because teams they know how to beat us at this point. Double moves, right, and get the ball out quick because the corners can't tackle.
That's a good point.
So it's one of those situations where by the time Harold Landry is getting to the ball, by the time he's getting to the quarterback to get home and get a sack, ball's out. And now you got to turn and, turn tail and try to go hunt down a receiver that's 10, 15 yards downfield. So, I don't think you trade him. And the only way that I can see you trading him is if you're going to go get a premier pass rusher, i.e. Jared Verse out of Florida State, the very next season.
Well, and honestly, I didn't expect to see him do anything big for the first 2 or 3 games. But once we got out of the first 2 or 3 games, I kept going, well, this might be his breakout game. Well, this is going to be his breakout. But Arden Key continually outperforms him on the film that I'm watching, and I don't know. I was shocked at the lack of production from him. Like you said, he's still getting pressure. I think our line, honestly, is one of the top lines in the NFL for pressure as far as that goes. It's just our sack total is not very good.
And it's going to get, again, that's going to be ugly because, I mean, you got Arden Key, you've got, you got Harold, you got Big Jeff, but Denico has been missing time here and there. He's not as effective as he usually as he's been the last 2-3 years, right? He's turning 33 this year. Tier Tart has been dealing with a toe and foot injury, so he hasn't been on the field. So those guys that kind of soak up some of that body, some of those bodies on the interior are now not there, so they're able to double team these guys and get, it's a guard now chipping you or a running back chipping you coming off the edge. So it's a lot of things that play into the why is this guy's production going down. Again, everyone can't be Nick Bosa. Everyone can't be TJ Watt, right? So some guys need a little more help, and it just sucks that Harold is coming off of an ACL injury. But the good thing about that is he was dealing with an ACL injury at Boston College, and then he came back after a year. That was a down year, and then he showed, hey, I'm a first-round talent. We got him in the second round, and we felt pretty good about it, right? And he showed year and year he improved. So I think this is a guy that knows how to deal with the ACL injury. He knows his body. He's still playing very well, right? The production may not say it, but he's still playing very well. Next year, let's assess that next year. See where he is next year. Now, if he's not playing for next year, then yes, that $17+ million cap hit, we may look to unload that on somebody else.
That's fair. Johnny brings up a good question here that I've had answer a lot of fans that ask my personal opinion on this. And they say, do you think that, basically he's asking if Vrabel is on the hot seat? And, I answer it. I was going to say, I answer it two ways. I answer it as a Titans fan. Yeah, I'd say everybody in the building needs to be scared to lose their job at this point. But as a rational football fanalist, whatever you want to call me, no, not really. I mean, he's the one who brought Ran Carthon in here. This is still his team. He's probably going to get at least one more off season. He might get 2 more off seasons, even if we're terrible, before he gets fired.
I mean, I don't think he's ever going to get fired. Amy Adams Strunk is his biggest fan. You have the owner in your back pocket.
That's what I'm saying, man. They went with their GM instead of their head coach. That does not happen very often in the NFL.
Yeah, so and Ran Carthon and him have again, let's just say an NFL team is structured like America, right? You have the president, and then you have Congress, right? And you have all these other things that go on, and you have this thing over here called economics, right? And when the economy is down, when the NASDAQ falls and all these things fall, right, the president looks really bad. When everything is going well, the president looks really good, right? So Ran Carthon is the new president, right? And he's having to deal with the American people, i.e. the Titans fans and Titans fandom. And right now we're looking at him saying, why aren't you doing something? Why do we suck, right? And it's like, I'm dealing with what the guy who left me a sticky note that said, good luck, here's $2, right? I'm dealing with his mess. I'm cleaning up his mess. I'm cleaning up the fact that he paid a quarterback that hasn't done anything for you in 3-4 seasons, right? He paid him an absorbent amount of money. I can't unload his contract because it's going to hurt for 2 years, right? He traded away your best weapon to the team that I just had to trade away one of my better defensive players to. And he's now one of the top 3 receivers in the game. And I had to go and panhandle to get DeAndre Hopkins off the red carpet to get older DeAndre Hopkins in here. I also have to deal with the fact that he left me with a young wide receiver who can't stay in the field, has injury issues for some reason. So I have to deal with all of these things, right? He left me with an aging offensive line that I had to unfortunately, begrudgingly let go of one of the Titans' faithful, Taylor Lewan. I had to go and piece together and cobble together an offensive line in order to get us through this season, because you can't play without one. Unfortunately, we don't play flag football. So I had to put something together. Right. And now we are here by week going into now week 8, and we are looking at wearing Oilers uniforms and playing at home in Atlanta, right? Or playing Atlanta at home. And I had to just trade away Kevin Byard. There's probably more trades coming down the pipe. And we're probably looking at starting the season 3-9. This is what I'm dealing with. I'm talking to you as Rand Carthon. This is what I'm dealing with. Cut me a break. Mike Vrabel was looking at you guys like, did you guys understand when I said I would cut off my member for a Super Bowl, right? Like, I didn't just say that for cracks and giggles, right? I said that because I meant it. I said that because that is how much I wanted to be the head coach of this team. Also, when I got up and almost threw a chair at the back of John Robinson's head when he traded away my best player on offense, my second best player on offense, you guys didn't think that I was showing emotion, showing passion then. What more do you want from me? His seat cannot get – it's not hot. It's as cool as it's ever been. He's trying to rebuild a roster that was destroyed by the guy that they fired and replaced.
Yeah, I don't know how old you are exactly, but for fans that are too young to remember salary cap hell, when we exited, I think it was 2001. It might have been 2002, but I believe it was 2001. Anyway, we moved on from, God bless.
Oh, God.
Yeah, it was right after the Super Bowl loss, which, we overextended ourselves to try to make that Super Bowl. And we did, but we didn't win. We lost by that much. So what happened is after that year, literally every good player we had, this is why the freak didn't last with Tennessee. Every good player we had that was on an expiring contract or had a lot of cap relief, we cut them. Like all of them. Like we cut like 9 of our star players. And for 4 or 5 years, we were terrible. I mean, absolutely terrible.
It also sucked, Max, because we ended up having to cut Brad Hopkins, who was the best left tackle in football at the time, arguably, right? We had to cut him. Mike Munchak was old. Bruce Matthews was old. Like, we literally, like, it was either you were aging and we can no longer pay you, right? Or you're moving on to your next phase of life, or you're young and you're vibrant and you got a future in this league, and we can't afford to pay you the money that you deserve. So you go elsewhere and get paid. And so that is where that's not where we are now. Rand Carthon is trying to salvage that. So it does.
Yeah, that was really my point. Is like a lot of younger people don't remember that, but I do, and I remember what our team looked like after we did the fire sale. It was atrocious. But like you said earlier, we've got our quarterback of the future, supposed quarterback of the future. We got a running back of the future, or at least the next 4 years. We got a great guard, probably an all-pro guard for the next 4 years, at least. Probably by next year, at least a second starting tight end or something like that, probably. And maybe a backup O-lineman. Sounds like a pretty good draft to me. And that's a lot of young people. So you don't have to like, oh my God, what are we going to do? It's cool, man. Chill out. And if you notice, a lot of the people that he signed to those contracts, like Dillard and Hubbard, when you make those two, the reason I make those to bring those two up is because both of them are around the same age. They're like 27, 28 years old. They both got signed to 2 or 3 year deals, and they both can be let go of next year with no repercussions. So you've got the option to keep the young guy that's at least got 3 to 5 more years, or you've got the option to move on and get a younger guy that you think is better in that position. Rand has set us up to be in the best position that we could possibly be at in this point. In Rand, I trust. Now, people want to argue with me and talk about Vrabel and how archaic his ways of doing football is and all this stuff and all will never change as long as we got Vrabel as our coach. I don't believe that's true. I really don't.
If you weren't here for 5-11, 2-4, 2-13, 2-13, 5-11, 6-10, right? If you weren't here for those years where we were like barely scraping the bottom and people were saying, "Oh man, the Titans are a poverty franchise. Oh, they'll never win anything. Oh, here's the new they're the new Cleveland Browns." If you weren't here for that, then I don't want to hear it.
Dude, I went to games where there were less than 200 people in the entire stadium.
Where there was you can scream and it was an echo in Nissan Stadium.
Yeah, dude, where the guards stand now, where the under part, they would let you in. They were like, "Yeah, come on down. Ain't nobody here. Who cares?" Yeah. I mean, literally, like it was no big deal. It was crazy, man.
We were hurting back then, but I mean, again, like with Dillard, I'm going to say this to Max. If you remember early, before we even played a game, right? Remember when I said that, hey, if the Titans start this season bad, I'm okay with being bad because what? The 49ers did the same thing 4 years or 2 or 3 years ago when they started the season horribly. They had a bunch of injuries. They went 6-10. They sold a bunch of guys. They got a bunch of young guys in. They had a very good draft, right, with a top 2 pick, 2-3 pick, right? They drafted Nick Bosa. And where were they the very next season? In the Super Bowl. So, again, like I'm not saying the Tennessee Titans are going to be in the Super Bowl. I'm not saying that that's where we are. But this team could definitely beat the Jaguars are a good team. Don't get it twisted, right? The Texans are wowing the judges because no one saw that coming. The Colts are a lot better than I thought they were going to be. But the Tennessee Titans are still the Tennessee Titans. Mike Vrabel is still the best coach is still one of the best coaches in the NFL. He's also still the best coach in this division. He's having a down year, right? Every coach has a down year. Mike Tomlin is having a down year for the first time in his career, right? In his illustrious career where he's never gone under 500. He's having a down year. Mike Vrabel, since he's taken over, last year was his first year he went under 500. Let that sink in. He's been the head coach of this team for 6 seasons now?
Yeah, 5-6 seasons, yeah.
He had 9-7, 9-7, 10-6, 13-3, 7-10. Like he won a crap ton of games, and then he had one bad year last year because his team fell apart with injuries. And we're saying he should be on the hot seat. If that's what it takes to be on the hot seat, then there's going to be a lot of coaches with a lot of vacancies. Like there's a lot of teams with vacancies at the head coaching position if that's what it takes.
Yeah, I'll actually agree with you there. That's why I say, as a Titans fan, I say, yeah, everybody should be, I don't really think they'll fire him, but I just want to see something different from the Titans. That's what I mean by that. Obviously, as a fanalist or whatever you want to call me, yeah, dude, there's no way we're getting rid of Vrabel, man. He's been the best head coach we've had since Fisher. Yeah, I mean, a lot of people say since ever, but I won't say since ever because I really loved Jeff Fisher. But he's starting to put it together. I mean, he's getting close to where Fisher was.
The resume is building up, right? I mean, Jeff Fisher under Jeff Fisher, we went to a Super Bowl and a Super Bowl and two AFC Championship games. So I mean, if you want to count the Super Bowl year, a Super Bowl and three AFC Championship games, right? That's fair. That's fine. But if you look at, it's a reason why they call him 8-8. Like, he was Mr. 8-8. Like, that's what he was. It was outside of 13-3 seasons, right? And a couple of years here and there, like we were 8-8, 500 team. Like we were okay with being middle of the pack mediocre. Mike Vrabel has set the standard so high where it's like 9-7 was our benchmark. And it was like, if we're not 9-7, we're 10-6. If we're not 9-7, we're 8-9, but like, or we're 8-8, right, or whatever. But like, we're 9-7 is our benchmark. That's the bar that he set. Winning seasons for the Tennessee Titans. We're going to pull out winning seasons, and then we'll assess it as we go along. he can't help the fact that he's been Marcus Mariota fell apart, right? Ryan Tannehill fell apart. And if you notice, Mike Vrabel never had his guy. He's never got to choose his guy. John Robinson drafted Marcus Mariota, and then John Robinson traded for Ryan Tannehill. But Mike Vrabel never said, I want that guy. Well, this year, he went and got Will Levis, who he was in love with from the beginning. So, again, like, let's see what Will Levis looks like. Let's see what Mike Vrabel's guy looks like. Let's see what his roster looks like. And then we can assess this, because we've been dealing with John Robinson. He's been doing a hell of a job coaching John Robinson bust picks, which I started to break it to you guys. Those drafts, like, if you go look at those drafts, they didn't have a lot of hits.
Yeah.
So
don't bring up bad memories, Michael.
Yeah. Wow. Thanks. Kicking someone while they're down.
Yeah, no kidding, man. We lost KB today, and now we're bringing up the fact that we locked out the best quarterback that we've had in well,
that's not ever. That's not the best. That guy's the greatest quarterback we've ever had.
Yeah, and that's not I mean, McNair was great, don't get me wrong, but anyway, we're gonna move on, because I'm gonna like lose all anybody that watches this show. No, but look, man, the main goal of this show today for me coming back. I'm glad to be back, by the way, y'all.
Welcome back.
Yeah, thank you for that. Everybody's giving me a lot of love and everything. I really appreciate that.
Mondays have sucked.
Yeah. Yeah, I don't know. Maybe it's because I went away. No, that ain't it. But I just want to tell everybody it's okay to be a little anxious right now as a Titans fan. I get it. I understand. And a lot of you guys are young. You know what I mean? You came in, the Titans might have been a mediocre team or whatever as you're younger. But then as they get, last 5 or 6 seasons, we've been winners. Even if you go one season before Mike Vrabel joined, we were still 9-7 in that season. So we are accustomed to winning rather than losing. Now, the Titans have literally changed their whole graphic, and now all these new fans are freaking out because they're like, what, another losing season? 2 in a row? What are we going to do? It's calm, man. Just keep calm. A good GM can pull us out of this situation, and like you said, they can flip the whole script in 1 year if they do a good job in draft and free agency, which we've already seen with the DeAndre Hopkins acquisition and the draft that we had this year. Obviously, looking at the first 3 picks we had, all of them great value picks. Whether you like Levis or not, the pick at the value was amazing.
Yeah,
so
I tweeted it earlier, Max. I don't know if you've seen it, but after the Bayard news, I immediately hit the Twitter wall, which is why you guys should follow my Twitter. I said after trading All-Pro safety Kevin Byard, the Titans now have 8 draft picks, where we only had 5 prior to this trade. Right, so your 2024 draft now window looks like a 2024 first-round pick, second-round pick, fourth-round pick, fifth-round pick, sixth-round pick, and 3 seventh-round picks. Like that is what your draft window looks like, and that is just with that Kevin Byard move. Now imagine if they trade Christian Fulton, who, from what I'm hearing, the rumblings are he can garner as high as a 3rd-round pick.
Yeah, I've heard some interesting talk about him, and I truly believe that he's probably the biggest target right now for trade. Probably the next one we'll see.
So I've heard those two teams, the LA Rams and the Miami Dolphins, are kind of, as teams that are looking. But again, like I said, like if I'm looking at that, I'm Ryan Carthon right now, the Band-Aid or the fix to all of this, right? The flex tape to my leaky bucket, right, is the draft. Easily. Right. The free agent market this year is not flashy. It's not a bunch of young guys. It's not a bunch of big names. It's a bunch of value guys, a bunch of value veterans, right? But again, $130-something billion, right? in cap space, you can go do a whole lot with that. There are going to be players that get surprise cut. There are going to be some cap casualties. We'll see what happens. There are going to be some bad teams that cut some good players. At my wish list, at the top of my wish list, first is Joe Alt from Notre Dame. I would love to have at left tackle, or Olu Fashanu out of Penn State. Would love to have those guys. Now that we got logical out of the way, illogical Cortland coming. All right, so my two illogical picks that may not ever happen because they both may be gone before we pick or by the time we pick are Kalen King and Kalen Bullock. Kalen Bullock is getting, if you got, I do draft coverage. I'm a draft by my own, merits. I said it, no one else did. So only you guys can make me a draft guru. Follow that thing right there. But Kalen King he's drawing a lot of comparisons to Derwin James. Safety out of USC. He's fast, he's quick, he's got ball skills, he comes down and hits a ton of bricks. Guy's a very good safety, probably one of the best safeties in the country. He is one of the best safeties in the country. Probably will be graded as the best safety in this class by the time we enter the 2024 and go to April for the combine and draft. But then Kalen King, the best cornerback, sorry, Bama fans, in the nation is Kalen King, number 4 for Penn State. Kool-Aid McKinstry is good, but he takes way too many gambles for me. He has way too many questions about his size, and he plays smaller than his size. He's 6'1" and 185, 190 pounds. But Kool-Aid McKinstry plays way smaller than that. You would think he's like a 5'8" guy, right? McCreary plays bigger than him right now. So that's a problem for me. Kalen King. And a lot of people are going to look at the Ohio State game and say, like, look at what Marvin Harrison did to him. Will Marvin Harrison is a generational talent. We probably never see the likes of again for another 20 years, right, until he has a kid. So, that guy's going to get 160 yards on you. But Kalen King, for the most part, has been shut down. I would love to see those two guys in tight uniforms. Like, this defensive secondary has been an albatross for this franchise. It seems like since Blaine Bishop and Samari Rowe left. Like, we've never had both. Like, we've always had it's always been Kevin Byard and then, like, okay corners, or it's been Cortland Finnegan and Nick Hartford and okay safeties.
Right? I was just about to bring up Cortland, man. That's great.
It's always been, like, one or the other. We've rarely had, since we had Samari Rowe and Blaine Bishop and Tank and all of those guys were playing in that defensive backfield for us. We haven't had the complete backfield, and we thought we had that. Right, it would have been nice if Christian Fulton could have kept up the consistency, and we still had Kevin Byard and so on and so forth. But we don't. So we have to go look into the draft, and I would love to have those two guys in tight uniforms for the next foreseeable future.
Honestly, I want to see it. Maybe it's just me being an old timer, but I want to see a lot of draft picks in the offensive line. I want like a brand new left tackle and maybe a new right tackle. That's really what I want.
Yeah, logic says that. Conventional wisdom says you draft one of those top two, tackles, right? Fashanu is probably as generational a tackle as you can get, right? He has a lot of Laramie Tunsil in him, and that's not a bad thing to have at all. Joe Alt is cut from the club of old school, bruise you, hit you in the mouth, I want to kill you every single play as an offensive tackle. If you thought that Taylor Lewan was nasty, no, this kid is nasty.
I like him a lot.
He's a mauler in the pass protection game. Like he goes out there and he's protecting his quarterback. Like he's not just, the pass play is over, drop back to the line. Like, no, it's what do you think? No.
We won't get enough value for what he's worth.
Right. And here's the thing.
Question.
Unfortunately, guys, if you are thinking of trading Derrick Henry, I'm going to report a cap on. The market is very dry. and that is the operative word here. It's a dry market for Derrick Henry. The reason is he's 30 years old, turning 30, going into the offseason. Has a lot of tread on his tires, and I know that we as Titans fans defend that like he has a lot of tread on his tires, but look at what he does. But in the grand scheme of things, a lot of tread on the tires. You're turning 30 years old. Your production has gone down the last 3 years. You've lost your burst. You're not as good as you used to be. It's simple. You're not going to get. If this was 2 years ago, easily multiple first-round picks. Easily, like no question about it. But as of right now, with the way the running back market is, he probably ends up in a Titans uniform again next year because he's not going to get the $10 million, $15 million that he got when we paid him. He's probably going to garner somewhere between $4.5 and $6 million a year, which the Titans can throw at him and say, "Hey, buddy, we drafted you. We love you. We want you here. We want you to retire Titan. Play these next 2 or 3 years. With us, retire right off until the sunset. Go to the Heisman house and have fun." Right? Like that's probably what it's going to be. And if he does end up in another uniform, it'll literally be as a accent back to one of these like dual threat guys. So yeah, they're not trading Derrick Henry. If I'm praying that the football gods heal Ryan Tannehill's ankle enough time for him to pass a physical to be traded.
That's what I'm hoping for, but I don't really expect
it probably won't happen either. But the good thing is like I said, next year, all of these guys are going to fall off the books. Most of these guys are not going to be in Titan uniforms next year. So, like we're making like bandits, and that was the silver lining that I was talking about. Is so far, so it's to say we are looking over the season, looking ahead. Yes, and I want to get to that, Max, really quickly. We went through the season preview before week 1, and I don't know if you remember. We all kind of, me, you, and Jake, we all kind of went like win, loss, right, for like the first 6 weeks. And we were like, okay, 4-4 through week 8. That's a good start, right? For what this team is, that's a great start. And then I told you, I said, Pittsburgh, the Bucks, the Jags, the Panthers, I felt like we could rattle off like 4 straight wins to come out 8-4. Well, that's not happening this year. So your remaining schedule, not counting Sunday, is Pittsburgh, Tampa Bay, the Jaguars, the Panthers, and the Colts. So after 13 weeks, we probably get swept by the Colts. We probably lose that game to the Jaguars. The Buccaneers have looked up and down, but, I mean, they've looked better than I thought they would. Huh?
They look better than we do.
Yeah, for sure. The Pittsburgh Steelers are sneaky good on offense, and their defense comes to play every week. The Panthers are bad, but Bryce Young is starting to catch up, right? He's starting to get acclimated to the NFL game, so who knows? I do have us winning that Panthers game, but those other ones, I have us losing all of those. 3-9 to start the season. That's why I said, like, right now, you are overlooking the season, right? Like, if you're Mike Vrabel and Frank Haldane, you're looking towards April right now.
I'm sorry, but this is how I would answer this question. It's fairly simple. Yes, we are kind of looking towards next year, but for all of this season, we have been trying to, as Tic Tac Titans say, I have to use his euphemism because he used the perfect one. When you walk down 2 paths, you usually run into a tree because you're trying to walk 2 paths at once and you hit what's in the middle. We've hit the tree. So now it's time to pick a side. And we have now. We picked a side by trading Kevin Byard. That was the catalyst. That was the beginning. So now we've got a clear road ahead of us. We know where we're going. And that's way better than we were before. And I'm sorry, if you don't think that's true, then sorry. But we have a clear vision. And not only do we have a clear vision, but we can see that within 1 to 2 seasons, we could be completely turned around. And that's the important part. Everybody just needs to chill out. And personally, I don't think Ryan Tannehill gets back in a Titans jersey. If he does, he'll be sitting on the sidelines. In my preference.
It's not happening. It's not happening. He's gone. And 9 times out of 10, he's playing for somebody's. he's going to be a bridge quarterback from this point on. And I don't know if you guys remember Kerry Collins when he left the Giants after that Super Bowl loss. He kind of skipped around a bunch of teams, and he ended up with us, and then he had like this, resurgence, and then he faded off into the sunset as a silver fox. That's going to be Ryan Tannehill. He's going to be a bridge quarterback here and there. He's going to be the guy to kind of get you through a season. But he hasn't been able to stay healthy. His athleticism and burst is gone. The arm pop is not there anymore. He just doesn't have it. It's just not who he starts for the season. I think you go with Levis, and the rumblings have been Will Levis. And that's why I've been telling people, like, whether you love him or hate him, whether you wanted him or didn't want him, guess what? Your coach wanted him, your GM wanted him. So guess what they're going to do now? They're going to start him. Malik, for all of the good that he did against Baltimore, there was equal bad. We literally had a chance to go down and score. There was a play where he scrambled and ran into the crowd. And instead of, DeAndre Hopkins is butt naked. There was nobody within 15 yards of him. And, in either direction. Like, there was a 30-yard gap in the middle. And the only thing that Malik Willis had to do was keep his eyes up and flick the ball. And he could have threw it, anywhere.
Yeah. Just throw it up, man.
Yeah, and DeAndre Hopkins comes down with it. And so those things are things that you can teach. The things that you can't teach, situational awareness. Get out of bounds, kid. We're in a situation where we have to score points. And yes, if he scored, we're not talking about it. But he didn't score. You're on the goal line. You're trying to make something happen. I get it. I love the gamership, but you have to know the situation. Get out of bounds. Give yourself a chance to fight, right, to score again. And he did not. And so these are things that you can't teach. And those are just 2 points. Will Levis, for all intents and purposes, if you've looked at any of the practice tape, shout out to Teron Davenport, Paul Kaharski, and those guys for consistently being at Titans camp when I can't, right, pumping out this tape. Will Levis looks really good. He looks like a polished NFL veteran quarterback. Like, if you didn't know who Ryan Tannehill was and you didn't know who Will Levis was, and you saw their footwork and poise and how they go through the drills, you would think that Will Levis was the better.
Yeah, and like I constantly tell people, Mike Vrabel doesn't tell a lot, in his interviews, and when people ask him questions, he gives what I call a presidential answer, where they answer it without answering it. But if you read between the lines of all of Vrabel's little interviews, you can pick out things that he does actually tell you things. When he made the comment that Levis just looks more comfortable in our offense and running our offense, that tells you right there who he's going to start. There should be no more question about it. Will Levis is going to start because Mike Vrabel believes he's the better quarterback at this point. Whether he really is or not, I don't know. Nobody really knows because nobody's seen him on the field. The only people that have seen him perform are people like you who are credentialed, or the coaches themselves. So the public, the general public, a lot of people online, the keyboard warriors, really have no idea what Levis is going to look like matured in a process. And he's not matured that much. He's only matured 5 weeks into the season, 6 weeks into the season, but still.
7 weeks with the offseason. That's fair. Again, London, can't think of his name, but the guy they brought in to help develop quarterbacks, right? He's the quarterbacks coach now and developmental guy. And they also brought in Sashi Brown, I believe, as well, to help with development. Look at what they did with Malik Willis, who's a project quarterback in an off season and a season and another off season. And people were like, yeah, that guy's number 2 quarterback. That's our backup. He's our future. Imagine what you do with a guy who's a pro-style player from a pro-style offense, who's a more natural quarterback with a more natural throwing motion. You don't have to tweak his throwing motion. You don't have to tweak his eyes. You don't have to tweak the instincts. Only thing you got to do is tweak the pick and go on coverages and just the stuff that you can teach. He has everything else. He's a natural. When I tell you that he's a natural, a ball comes off his hand and it's like a flick. And
it's magical.
It's 70 yards in the air. And you're like, it looks like a punt. He threw one and he threw a pass during mandatory mini camps, and I thought it was Ryan Stonehouse kicking the ball. Like Ryan Stonehouse was on one end of the field, like kicking punts, and me and PK are looking up and we're watching these punts fly, and then all of a sudden we see one come back the other way, and we're like, who? Like, and I look, and number 4 is over here. Number 7 is throwing this ball back to the other end of the field. Like, that is the guy that you have as who can be your quarterback. So, and he's a complete player. He can run, he can process. Like, think Ben Roethlisberger, but in shape and a lot faster, right? With a bigger arm. That is what you got here. And I'm not gonna lie to you, I would take Ben Roethlisberger over Ryan Tannehill right now.
For real.
Right? So if that's what I have, and Vrabel has like you said, Vrabel gives you a peek into his mind. You have to get through his Bill Belichick taught media training to kind of see it, because even Bill Belichick tells you what he's going to do before he does it. With his cryptness, right? It's we're like even when he said like we're off to Cincinnati. In other words, I've already got a game plan. I don't want to talk about what happened tonight, right? He tells you without telling you. And so Mike Vrabel is telling you Will Levis is going to be the starter. And like I said, there's been those rumblings that at this point Ryan Tannehill is probably going to miss 2 weeks, and he might get shut down for the year. Like, I'm not going to lie to you. He may be shut down for the season because this is the same ankle that he injured last year.
Yeah, the only way I honestly see Tannehill coming back is if Levis gets injured. Then they might say, okay, we don't want to get our future hurt, so we're going to sit him on the sideline and let Tannehill and Malik go out there and just finish the season for us.
Yeah.
Again, yes, we are looking to the next season, but it's not as bad as it sounds, guys.
We're all content with the coaches we have. Tim Kelly, yes. Bowen, yes. Conditioning coach, no.
Yeah, obviously we need something done there. We got to figure out what this injury bug is in Tennessee and deal with it. A lot of people for many years have said strength and conditioning coaches, and I think it's time to maybe give that a look. What's up, man? But honestly,
the only change that would make is probably Bruce. It's probably Bruce Bowen, and that's the only reason I say that is because I feel like he's only as good as the talent that he has sometimes, and the defense has been way too up and down over the last 2 or 3 years.
I'm not a huge fan, and this is solely based on performance of the group. So not a knock on the actual guy, but I'm not happy with the way our defensive backs have been performing. And a lot of people had me hyped up for that coach. I was sure that Fulton was going to, have a breakout season. Sean Murphy-Bunting was going to be better than we thought he was, which actually he's played pretty good. I don't really have a lot of bad things to say about Sean Murphy-Bunting. But he's another one they're talking about trading off, and I don't really see that. But anyway, I don't know. It's just internet rumblings. But the defensive backs coach is the only one, other than Bowen. Obviously, I don't think anyone's really happy with Bowen. But, I mean, it's hard to know how much of last year's defense was Bowen and how much of it was Jim Schwartz. Because Jim Schwartz moved on to the Browns, and he's been great there. And personally, if it was me, I would have never let him leave the Titans facility. I'd have been like, dude, I'll make you my defensive coordinator. I don't care. Screw my buddy. But I'm not the guy. That's Vrabel's decision, and he decided to let Schwartz go, and Schwartz is doing great. So it's hard to, as a Titans fan and analyst, whatever you want to call me, it's hard for us to sit here and go, is this guy really decent? Because last year our defense was better, but was that because we brought on Jim Schwartz? Because this year our defense is kind of looking like it was back in 2021, which is when we started to really question both Boeing and Downing. Obviously, we wanted Downing gone more, but I don't know. I was not happy.
I could see us going outside, getting somebody. But there's not many. Here's the thing: there's not many. Not many like. How many candidates out there that you can say are
better than Shane Bowen?
Yeah, like, well, I'm not gonna say better Shane Bowen. Just like the candidates would be someone who's new, right? So there's Chris Richard, who's the passing game coordinator. Who's been the passing game coordinator for Dallas, right? He's been a guy that that's been kind of floated around as a defensive coordinator candidate. Sean Desai, he's been a guy that's, these names, Ryan Nielsen. Gus Bradley's not going anywhere anytime soon. So like Chris Shula, right? Chris Shula has been pretty good. So I mean, once you look at that, it's like, with the way that Vrabel has operated in the past, I don't think he goes outside of the house to go get a DC unless one of these guys wows the judges, right? Like Sean Desai would probably be the one that I would want the most. He was the very defensive coordinator in the past, but like Chris Richard, Richard, however you want to pronounce his last name. When the Cowboys were a very good defense, or they're still a very good defense, but when they had like a top-notch secondary, he was their passing game coordinator. I could see him coming in to kind of correct some of the issues we have, because our defensive line is not bad. I don't care what you stick out there as far as defensive line features, right? Davis has got those guys playing football, and he's had those guys playing football now for the last 4 or 5 years. I think you need to get the secondary together, and I can't blame Chris Harris for what's been happening with this defense, that defensive secondary. It's looked like they just don't know what to do. Like week 1, it was situations where Kevin Byard's passing the guy off, and Christian Fulton was looking at the guy running across his face. It's like, that's right. I'm supposed to run with it. I'll get on that, right? Like it was too late. Like it's too late. The guy's already 40 yards in the field. Like, way to go, right? So now you have to find someone that can teach defense, and it just seems like Bowen. It seems like Shane Bowen has given up on teaching defense. He kind of expects these guys to do it now, and that could be a good thing, right? Like, and Max, you're a coach. I'm pretty sure you've got kids and guys that you've coached that you're like, I expect for you guys to know exactly what to do, right? To be an extension of me as the coach. I shouldn't have to teach you these things. But then there's also the guys that you have that are new to that system, or kids that you know are coming from somewhere else, and you have to teach them these things. It kind of gets hard to teach when the entire team acts like they forget what to do. So
no, I completely feel that as a Little League coacher. I completely feel you on that, man. You come back and practice and you're like, why are you lining up over there? We don't. What are you doing?
Right. Yeah, so
frustrating.
Imagine that in the NFL. A bunch of grown men that have been playing football for the better part of 20 years of their life, and they seem to just I get on the field and the lights get bright and they just don't know, right? So it's one of those situations where, again, this all boils down to it's going to get ugly before it gets beautiful. I hate to use cliches, but it's going to look way worse than it has the first 6 weeks as we move forward. But once we get those pieces in, and I've said this, Ryan Carthon, once he gets his pieces in there, he puts his fingerprints on this team, we're going to see something different.
Yeah, I agree with you there, Charles.
Welcome to the party, Charles.
Yeah. So we're going to wrap up. I think we've had a pretty successful show here. We've talked about what we've done so far in the season, where we're going from here. We lost one of our great Titans, but there's going to be more pain to come, and it's going to be okay. That's basically what we want to take from this show. It's going to stink for a little while to be a Titans fan, maybe for the rest of the season, maybe next season too, or part of next season at least. But it's okay, because by the time 2025 rolls around, we're going to be a premier team. And that's all that really matters, is getting us back to winning form. The best way, the fastest way to winning form. And I see Rand Carthon. You're doing your thing, dude. Keep doing your thing.
Yeah, set the Nissan now, and then that way when we open up the new stadium, we're good. We're a good team.
It's exactly what I said to one of my good friends earlier today. I was like, hey, we're going to be great again about the time we get a brand new stadium, or maybe a season before. So it's going to be perfect. We're going to be hitting that new stadium, peaking out, or well, maybe not peaking out, but, hitting our high point.
Just to give you guys a heads up on that, though, right? When we were building what is now Nissan, at that time it was at the Delphi Coliseum, for those who know, when it first opened. Man, that was a beautiful stadium when it first opened. It was. But that the 2 3 years before that, we were right, and then first season in the Delphi Coliseum, the Titans.
Yep.
Right, we hit the ground running, new uniforms, new stadium.
Boom. Oh, it was beautiful, yeah.
And we're in the Super Bowl, so if that is what I can look forward to, I mean, history does repeat itself. And if for those who don't know, I don't know if you guys ever had a history teacher that told you, for a man who doesn't know his history is doomed to repeat it. Right. So I'm hoping that we repeat our history here. I know our history. Our history is new stadium. Normally comes with a new look. I don't know about a new look, right? But a new stadium means new excitement. New excitement means new energy. Fresh energy means you play better. Playing better normally lands you somewhere deep in the playoffs.
Yep. And yeah, that's pretty much it, guys. Just chill out, enjoy. This is the really great thing, and then I'll stop because I'm just keep rambling. But this is the really great thing about being a Titans fan right now. How stressed have we been the first 6 games? Okay, I don't know about you guys, but all 6 games, whether we won or lost, we only won twice, so mostly lost. But whether we won or lost, I was stressed out all the way up until the end. Like, I was just a big, except for the Bengals game, I was a big ball of stress. And now we get to watch the games. Guess what? Stress-free, because we're expected to lose. Yep. We're expected to lose pretty much every game from here on out. So if we win games, guess what? Good for us. If we lose, that's all right. It's what they expected anyway. So who cares?
Vegas has us as 2-point underdogs against the Falcons.
And if we can't win against the Falcons, who are you going to win against?
Yeah, I think I'm just looking through like the Vegas odds for right now. They have us as 2-point underdogs. They have us as 2-point underdogs against the Pittsburgh Steelers right now. They have us as losing by a touchdown, or 6-point underdogs against the Buccaneers. They have us as a 12-point underdog to the Jaguars. They have us as 7-point favorites against the Panthers. They have us as 3-point underdogs to the Colts. They have us as a 14-point underdog to the Dolphins. They have us at a 3-point underdog to the Texans.
So Vegas says we might win one game.
Yeah. Like the Panthers are the only favorite. That's the only game we're favored in.
Okay, well, I'll take that. But that's the point, guys. There's no more stress about, we gotta maximize our team and do all. No, man, just chill now, because everybody expects us to lose anyway. So now we can just go out and have fun. And that's the great thing, man. Now, as a Titans fan, I was literally saying that to myself today because, to be honest, when I got that news, it was a bit of a shock. And I kept telling myself, man, just chill yourself, man, because now you don't have to worry. Now we're on that path. We know our vision. We know our direction. And we're on a path to make us better. That's all that matters. So everybody chill out, strap in, have a good time. We're going to have an interesting 2023 season. I promise you that.
Yep.
And I know everybody should know this by now, but if they don't, tell them where to find you at, man.
You guys can find me at DC Griffey on X. Of course. I'm your friendly neighborhood Titans reporter, right? If you can't touch like PK, can't touch Jim Wyatt or you feel like you can't talk to those guys, you can always talk to me. Like I reply, I'm very active on Twitter. I respond to comments, right? Tweet people like I'm very active in there. So find me there on Instagram as well. If I'm at the same tag, at DC Griffey. I haven't been doing the halftime show the last couple of weeks, but I'm going to probably hop back on definitely with the NBA season starting back up. So if you're an NBA fan, definitely catch me over there as well. But we still have Titans football to talk about as well. And then of course during draft time, I have you covered all season long with college football updates, draft boards, risers and fallers. My midseason big board just hit, so you can find that on my page on Twitter as well to see, maybe who the top 50 prospects are. It's just a bunch. It's a bunch of stuff, man. I'm a big ball of sports, sports knowledge. I'm here to share it, and of course, I'm a Titans fan as well. So it all works out.
Yeah, man. I'll say this: I've been blessed to have known, I don't know, 3 or 4 different Titans insiders or whatever. Or influencers or whatever you want to call them. Okay. Big Titans people. But by far you have been the most open, nicest. You respond to me every single time. I mean, you and Tic Tac are my best people, and you're actually number one because you come on my show all the time, of course. You are number one, bro. And it's just cool. Like you said, these people are untouchable, but one of these days when I come up to Nashville, we're going to hang out together, and that'll be a cool day.
Sure. This is homecoming week, guys. So, the city's going to be dressed up in Oilers blue, right? Love You Blue is going to be playing in every bar and speakeasy here in Nashville, right? Warren Moon and, Dr. Doom and all those guys are going to be here. So, it's going to be a fun time here in Nashville. Hopefully we can come out with a win. Hopefully we don't. But I'm not rooting against us. I'm just rooting for our future. But it's going to be nice. Like I don't want us to lose in the Oilers uniforms. I want us to at least win, 2 in the Oilers uniforms at least, especially against Houston.
Yeah, I was gonna say, I want to beat Houston with the Oilers, but I don't know what will do that. But I definitely would like a revenge game against Arthur Smith. Not really a revenge game, but just.
Right now they don't look very good. They look good, like they looked okay, but they haven't looked like, maybe he's missing home. Maybe he gets fired and comes back to Nashville.
That would be great, man. I would love that. Nothing against Tim Kelly. Nothing on you, buddy. But, hey, Arthur Smith was the man in Tennessee.
We were top 5 offense every year that he was coaching. So.
No kid. Dude was a fire. Anyway, sorry I'm rambling again. Guys, thank you for coming in. We appreciate you very much. Tune into our Thursday night show at 7:30 to preview the game where I think Tyler will be on. I don't know if he is. He had a new member of the family just joining him.
Oh, wow.
Just the other day. Yeah. So aces to you, Tyler, if you're watching. We miss you, buddy, but it's cool, man. We understand.
Get as much rest as you can because it's far in between.
Yeah. I told him my little girl changes so often, man. Just when I get used to what she's doing, bam, she's off doing something else. And it's like, man, I just got a hang of this. Now you're changing again. But anyway, love you guys. Thank you for coming out. Thank you for all your support. I am super glad to be back. You guys are awesome. Tighten up. Peace out.